What is freedom? May all beings be free. May all beings be free. May all beings be free. And what are we talking about? And what does this mean? How do we live it? I am hoping and looking forward to in this practice period that we will become more familiar with the traditional Zen family stories. It's sort of like, it's like when you go home, there are family stories. And it's kind of how some of the stories you like, some of the stories you don't like. You're not even sure you want to be home sometimes. But there are these stories, and there's something beautiful when you begin to turn them with other people that have the same experience. And in this case, our shared experience is of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and of Zazen. And the fact that the ancients, and to this day, because we are the ancients for the ones who come after, the ancients were just the young ones back then. It's like this whole thing about time is that people have been turning and asking these questions forever and will forever. What is it to be free? What are we doing here? What is it the Buddha was doing? What was his quest? What is this story of him sitting down under a Bodhi tree with a deep vow? And what are our vows? And how do we live them? In case you haven't noticed, being alive is a koan. Your life is a koan. How do we take care of this planet Earth is a koan. What do we do about racism? Social injustice and poverty and war. My son told me last night about a friend of his who his parents grew up in the Philippines during some of the revolutionary times and raised their son to really believe that you have to help and stand up against oppression. And so this young man, well, he's my son's age, he's not as young as they used to be, but younger than us, just left for Syria to go to try to help. I just think, oh my goodness. So how do we each take up this koan of what is freedom and how do we help? And what is it to free our hearts and our minds so that all beings can be free? So what I wanted to do today, we're going to do what I think we've started all the other practice periods this way, is Erica, the Shuso, and I are going to take turns both today and on Thursday, sharing some of the what you all have written on your applications, confidentially, of course. But it's always inspiring. Everybody shows up and we practice together, and I'm so happy to see each person in the little box. We can remove the spotlight for right now. But to read the applications and to feel the depth of the practice of everyone is very moving. So, Gretchen, you want to take the spotlight off for right now? Because what I'm going to do for a minute here.
It's off.
Oh, it's off. Okay. There you go. Okay. I'm going back to gallery. That's the only way I can do this. I like seeing all your little faces. But I wanted to start, I'm going to do it today and Thursday, and then we'll do it is each time I'm hoping we can bring forward a koan in a traditional sense, or from the sense of the traditional collections of koans, and I'll say more about that as the weeks go forward, and from the hidden lamp. But today I wanted to pull forward a koan that's a fundamental koan. And then we can roll out of that, from the inspiration of this koan, I hope, how we are each taking it up and embodying it in our own language and our own words. So this is one that I've been turning for a long time. It's about Bodhi, who's the founder of Zen. It's the second case in the Book of Serenity, and I think it's the first case in the book in the Blue Cliff Records. It's simple, it's direct, and it's a story of Bodhidharma bringing Buddhism from India to China, just like we're bringing Buddhism from the East to the West, from Japan to the United States. He was known as a red-haired barbarian. I like that. We're all kind of red-haired barbarians. And the story of Bodhidharma is that Emperor Wu of China, one could imagine China being rather formal and an ancient culture and having its own way of doing things. And then they invited this red-haired barbarian in from India and sort of probably expected him to behave the way that they would expect an invited guest to behave. Maybe sometimes, I don't know, maybe that's how the Japanese feel about us, is like, oh my God, you Westerners, you're just wild. What are you doing? You're living together in monasteries and on and on. So this is to help us claim our own experience, direct experience of what are we doing here? How do we live? What is freedom? So Bodhidharma goes in, meets Emperor Wu, and says, well, actually, Emperor Wu said to him, "Hey, teacher from India, what is the highest meaning of the holy truths? Tell me, what is the highest meaning of the holy truths? What is the highest meaning of the Four Noble Truths? There is suffering. There is a cause of suffering. There is a freedom from suffering, and there is a path. There is freedom. Tell me, what is the essence? What is the highest meaning, the deepest meaning? What is your experience of it? Transmit it to me, please." Bodhidharma did not cooperate in the way that Emperor Wu expected. He just said, "Empty. There's no holy." Or another way it's said sometimes is vast emptiness, nothing holy. You can't figure this out in your head. This isn't what Bodhidharma said. He wasn't that kind. He just said, vast emptiness, nothing holy. Oh, Emperor Wu didn't expect that. For this red-haired barbarian to say, you can't figure this out. You can't get it in your head. You can't get it out of all of your Chinese, whatever you've read or whatever you think it's about. It's right in front of you. Don't reify anything. It's all vast and empty and mysterious and coming and going and no coming and no going. It's empty of any inherent self-existence. Life is impermanent, alive. Show up, Emperor Wu. Well, Emperor Wu, we could imagine, wasn't used to being talked to this way. And he said, "Who are you facing me? Who are you in this practice period facing yourself? Who are you, Kristen and Marjorie and Shelley and Constance and Elaine? And who is your neighbor? And who is this question that you're bringing? What is this question you're bringing into the practice period? Who do you think you are? And what is it that you think you're doing?" See, these are real questions. This isn't from a long time ago. And you know what Bodhidharma said? To who are you? Bodhidharma said, don't know. Don't know. Not, I don't know. Whatever. He said, embodied, don't know. You can't know in this way. Your deeds, your lived experience, Zazen body, live it, ask it. Don't try coming to somebody else for somebody to give you simple answers. What is freedom? Take it up for everybody. This is serious. The world is in trouble. There is suffering. And then it said, Bodhidharma left. And he crossed the river and he went and he sat. I love it. He sat for 9 years facing a wall, but he sat in a cave. I thought, oh, he went into the earth. He sat down on the earth with his whole body and listened for himself and for all beings. And when they asked, when Emperor Wu asked, who was that who was just here to his attendants, they said it was an embodiment of Avalokiteshvara. He was bringing kindness. He wasn't going to give you a simple answer. You want to know? Wake up. Take it up for yourself. So, now, each of you who has taken up this koan, each in your own way, don't take yourself too seriously, but don't think this isn't serious business. I'm going to read some of the responses, and then Erica will read some, and then we'll see where we are. You ready? Listen deeply. These are the words brought forward from the ancients to this day. So I'll go through the list I have, Erica, and then you, I'll hand it to you. What intention brings you to make a commitment to join this practice period, to take up this question? What is freedom? To take up this deep wish, may all beings be free. My intention is to use compassion for myself and others. How do you imagine the focus of your practice changing during this practice period? I imagine that my perspective may broaden. What intention brings you to this moment, to this question? Love of practice. Cultivating the 3 jewels. The focus of your practice, bringing the peace and joy from practice into daily life with others. Personal commitments. I would love to come back to my art by working with some of the sutras or precepts or other teachings that feel meaningful to me, on paper or canvas as a way of deepening. Please take up creative practices if that's what makes you happy. Your intention? I want to become more disciplined and consistent to deepen meditation practice and grow in connectedness to the earth, to others, and to life. Focus, embodiment and self-care, self-compassion, bringing meditation practice into my body, feelings, and awareness. Not turning away from aging, sickness, and death. And again, I hope to deepen my awareness of how art and creativity, particularly with clay, can serve and express my spiritual practice. What is your intention? What are you doing here? I want to continue manifesting the Dharma in my daily life and find ways to bring my Buddhist practice out into the world by being of service to others. I have been I have a history of attending practice periods, retreats, and other events. It has been my whole life. I wake up early and sit for an hour, do some spiritual reading, and contemplate how I can bring my practice into my life. This will be my 4th practice period. I am committed to preparing to take vows, so my focus will be on that. How might I take the precepts knowing they are unattainable? Rather than seeing them as rules, can I see them as a framework that allows me to settle into being me? I told you you'd be inspired. I like the idea that I got from a book I read a couple of years ago, maybe by Charlotte Joko Beck, of rewriting the precepts into one's own words, and would like to share that process during the practice period. Your focus? Regular meditation. Please, regular meditation during this practice period. Bodhi-Dharma points the way. Spiritual reading, trying my best to live a karmically balanced life, practicing empathy and kindness. Your intention. I have been in every single practice period since we began. I can't imagine this time of year without being in practice period. I, in view of my illness, have gotten really rooted in a lot of habit energy. I want to look at my habit energy and try to heal. I've been sick for 18 months and I'm starting to feel better. I just want to pay attention to healing. Personal commitment. Pay very close attention to habit energy. Anything else you want us to know? I love you all. I feel blessed. I can't imagine my life without Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Tell you, as we go along, if you don't hear yours, it'll be there on Thursday. So then now you have to come back on Thursday if you want to hear your own, because I know my little ears perk up and I think, I think I said that. But we're all saying it for each other. Personal commitment. I am committing to study and honor the impulse towards wholeness, to remember it and to take care of it so it can guide me. Just this morning, I came across this quote by Hippocrates. The natural healing force within each one of us is the greatest force in getting well. Tending to this natural healing force feels like tending to the Dharma within and to the deep bloodline of Buddha ancestors. For this practice period, I will nourish this impulse to health and wholeness through periods of silence throughout the day. I will engage in small practices like sipping broths and making slow-cooked meals, watching sunrises, drinking tea, sitting, walking, studying the Dharma, and attending Sangha. I am also committing to the nourishing practice of saying no and setting boundaries so that I can honor this impulse towards stillness, slowing down and allowing the energy of silence to expand within me. This commitment feels like bringing the temple home and living my vows here in the world. Your intention? To practice more fully observing the inner workings of my mind, observing rather than reacting in intense situations. Your focus? A more peaceful way of living everyday life and gaining more understanding of how precious every moment of everyday life is. Intention: I want to strengthen my practice. I will try to sit once a day, read Dogen once a week with 2 Sangha friends. Erica.
Hi. So, what is the focus of your current practice? Daily sitting, monthly all days, ongoing, varied reading, mostly practicing staying awake, not to causing harm, and being kind, helpful, and easygoing on myself. What intention brings you? I find I'm longing to find a more comfortable way to live with and enjoy the reality of impermanence. Age-related body changes. I'm hoping for a more calm and peaceful practice. What is your current practice? Slowing my reactivity and cultivating a practice of not knowing. What is the focus of your current practice? I am turning towards my ancestors, reaching out for stories and guidance. I'm building a family tree of sorts. We would be painting it on the wall in our living room. They are the foundation, as is the earth. This is where we begin as a family to create our North Star. What intention brings you to join this practice period? Dealing with death, grieving loss, wanting some practice to calm and to be at ease with whatever arises. Glimpsing how I fit in the flow of life in the universe, improve concentration. What commitment, what brings you to this practice period? I'm drawn to the focus of freedom this year. What is freedom in the vast Buddhist world versus the immediate and day-to-day? Can it be a constant dimension? How does the pandemic shape our concepts of personal freedom now? What intention brings you to practice? The statement that describes what I want to focus on by Mother Teresa is, we can do no great things, only small things with great love. Mother Teresa. This is how I want to do everything in my life. Caregiving, gardening, cleaning the house, cooking, helping to heal my family. We can do no great things, only small things with great love. What is the focus of your practice? Gratitude, compassion, and generosity. Thank you.
What amazing bodhisattvas we are practicing with and for. And that completely includes each one of you.